All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go from Kansas. Keith Jackson and Aiden Young will have the front row. Brandon Templeton and Jack Clevenger on the second row. Donovan Ross and Mike Cranmer on the third row. Colin Johnston, Andy Patton on the fourth row. John Tobias and Gary Alford round out the top 10. Doyle Lawrence and Bill Calder, 11th and 12th. They did not qualify. We're not sure if they'll take to the grid. Everybody gets stacked up on the grid, ready to go. And it does not look like Doyle Lawrence or Bill Calder will take to the track as everybody begins rolling off pit road. Keith Jackson will lead them down. This is the first race of the season. You gotta start trying to score points now. We have had two awesome races so far tonight and fully expect this one to be just as good. It's been an awesome night of racing with Retread Racing and Coast to Coast Racing. We're definitely in for an awesome season. And here we go. Pace car dives to pit road. And green flag is in the air. They are down and away in Kansas. And down into turn one, Keith pulls out quickly to the lead. They're side by side throughout the field. Brandon Templeton slides up to take second place. Aiden Young now back into third. Like we said during pre-race, this track is definitely highline dominant through the turns, especially in 3 and 4. That highline, oh, they are leaning on each other into 1 and 2. That highline, you definitely keep the engine wound up. You carry the momentum out of the turn. Definitely the place you want to be, but we will see them on the front stretch dive all the way to the apron to carry some speed and to cut the distance on that front stretch. Aiden Young now in third, Jack Clevenger in fourth, Mike Cranmer in fifth, John Tobias already up 3 spots into sixth. Tobias making that bottom line work, but that bottom line does wear the tires quickly here. Tobias looks down to the bottom. It gets a little tight. Tobias gets a little out of shape, but holds on to it. Wow, great save by John. Mike Cranmer holds him off to stay in fifth. Donovan Ross having a rough start. Drops back into eighth. Andy Patton in ninth. Gary Alford in 10th. Keith Jackson quickly opens up a 2-second lead over Aiden Young. Based off the numbers I'm seeing, though, don't count Aiden out yet. And Brandon Templeton just kissed the wall, bounces off, goes to the apron. Clevenger in fourth, about 1.7 seconds back, trying to reel him in. John Tobias now looks underneath Mike Cramner again. Can't quite get it done just yet. Colin Johnson, Donovan Ross right there behind. Andy Patton and Gary Offit not far behind either. Cramner still holding on to fifth. Looks like he may have kissed the wall out of two. Oh, big run into three. Tobias comes up, gets a little bit of Cramner. Both drivers keep going. John on the march. We saw John in the sprint cars and we saw him in the Indy cars a moment ago. But now you're back in a full body car, and that car, that full body, is a weapon. Colin Johnson now has a run and will take six. Cramner drifts back to seven. Donovan Ross in eighth. Andy Patton in ninth, staying within striking distance. Gary Offit in 10th, also still within striking distance. Keith Jackson's lead continuing to grow, but you have to wonder, is he using the tires too much, too early? His lead about 2.8 seconds over Aiden Young. Brandon Templeton has been in third most of the race. Clevenger back in fourth. John Tobias in fifth, about 1.5 seconds. Whoa! Colin Johnston got way out of shape coming out of turn 4 that time. It looks like that car was getting very, very loose on exit. We'll watch him as he goes back into turn 3. Holds it together this time. Looks like just a little too much sand on that last lap. Keith Jackson continues to lead, but Aiden Young is starting to reel him in. The gap now 2.3 seconds and closing. Brandon Templeton in third, losing ground on the top 2. Clevenger back in fourth. Tobias in fifth, still holds about 1.5 seconds back. Mike Cramner continuing to lose ground, now back in seventh, and he's way up the track, a little bit out of shape and lost a lot of momentum. Donovan Ross comes by on the high side. Andy Patton looks to the bottom in 1 and 2. It looks like Cramner's car already going away. Keith Jackson's lead holding at about 2.4 seconds for the moment. Aiden gains a little ground, then loses a little ground in second. Did he let him get too far away too early? Jack Clevenger in fourth, about 2.25 seconds behind Brandon. But he better start worrying. John Tobias is closing back in. Tobias about 1.5 seconds back and gaining ground. Colin Johnston in sixth, about 1.1 seconds back. And already just 16 laps into this, lap times are starting to go away, and the car's handling is really starting to go away. Keith Jackson's fastest lap, 30.76. Last time by, 30.08. 1.25 seconds slower than his fastest lap, and that seems to be the case throughout the field. Aiden Young, though, not losing as much time as the car ahead. He is now 1.8 seconds back and closing. Brandon Templeton currently in third. Some of the drivers back behind who took it easy early on look like they are starting to gain a little bit of ground. John Tobias still holding fairly even. He is the biggest mover of the night so far. John currently up 4 spots into fifth and about 1.3 seconds behind Clevenger. Meanwhile, Aiden Young in second place continues his march toward the front. We saw Keith Jackson get that big lead early, but he is losing ground quickly. Aiden now just 1.3 seconds back. We mentioned it earlier. Did Keith pull out too far and use up too much tire to get that big lead early on? It appears to be the case. Aiden conserved a little bit of tire in the early going, and it is paying off now. Mike Cramner continues to fade a little bit, but now battling with Andy Patton, trying to dig a little bit back. Cramner now up into 8th. Andy Patton in 9th, still has Gary Offit in 10th, right there with him. Donovan Ross, meanwhile, in 7th, closing the gap on Colin Johnston in 6th. So far, a pretty quiet and tame race, but as we saw with Donovan a moment ago, coming out of turn 4, the handling on these cars as the tires wear is really starting to go away. Donovan able to hang on to it, shoots underneath, and moves into 6th. John Tobias in 5th has lost a little bit of ground to Clevenger now. Brandon Templeton still holds in 3rd, about 2.5 seconds behind Aiden, but 2.5 seconds ahead of Clevenger. And Aiden has just about caught the leader. Keith Jackson led the first 25 laps. How many more can he hold it? Aiden Young moving up to the high line. As Mike Cramner has had a problem back behind, he has gone to pit road. We will not see a caution. And here we go. Pit stops are underway. Is anybody going to stay? Dawson Ross is staying out. He will lead a lap. Those bonus points early in the season definitely help. Let's see what happened with Cramner. There's Cramner. Looks like he was trying to get to pit road. Just got off wrong and ends up sideways. He does make it onto pit road. And a moment ago, Andy Patton heads for pit road. Overshoots pit road entry. He goes through the grass but gets it down. Likely to see some penalties out of that. Could be huge setbacks. And Colin Johnston, whoa! Colin Johnston aimed for pit road but made the last minute choice to stay out. That's going to cost him big. Keith Jackson comes off pit road in second. Aiden Young in third. Will Colin come in this time? And now Colin is coming to pit road. He gets it on, no problem. And that should cycle the lead back to Keith Jackson. He is about 1.4 seconds ahead of Aiden Young at the moment. Brandon Templeton back in third. About 3.25 seconds back. John Tobias did end up with a penalty on pit road, as did Andy Patton. Tobias now back in ninth, Patton in 10th. Jack Clevenger now up to fourth, Donovan Ross in fifth. Gary Alford now 4 spots into sixth. Mike Cramner still holds on to seventh. Colin Johnston heading back out on track. Looks like he will drop to ninth as John Tobias will be in eighth. Keith Jackson starting to extend his lead once again over Aiden Young. He does not appear to be extending it and going quite as hard as he did on that first run. He saw the charge that Aiden Young had late in that first run. Might be trying to save a little bit for later in the run. Brandon Templeton still back in third, battling with lap traffic at the moment. John Tobias currently in eighth, the first car 1 lap down. Tobias is going to need a caution to get back into the fight. And Keith Jackson, his lead is starting to shrink again. Aiden Young back on the attack, just under a second behind. At the moment, Gary Offit, the biggest mover so far, up 4 spots into 6th place. But Mike Cramner appears to have gotten a hold of that car. He is closing in. Aiden Young continuing to close the gap on the leader. And everybody is within their fuel window now. So we could see final pit stops at any moment. You definitely have to wonder what strategies these drivers are going to try and pull here tonight. Several different options. Holy cow! Aiden Young way out of shape coming out of 2. Brandon Templeton back in 3rd, fairly secure in that position at the moment. But with one more pit stop to come, anything could happen. As we saw multiple drivers have problems on that first pit stop. Keith Jackson still has the lead for the moment. But look who has caught up to him. Aiden Young now just a couple of car lengths behind. Keith Jackson still holds the lead for the moment, but oh! Aiden Young pushing it to the limit, way out of shape out of 4. He's got to be careful not to use up that right rear. He stays within striking distance, but man. Brandon Templeton still holds on to 3rd. Jack Clevenger in 4th. Dawson Ross in 5th. Gary Alford in 6th was closing in on Dawson. He's about 0.8 of a second back, but Offit has his own problems. Here comes Mike Cranmer. As we have got a battle for the lead. Aiden Young has finally caught the back bumper of Keith Jackson. Keith has led the most laps so far here tonight, but with less than 20 to go, it is still anybody's ball game. Oh! Keith gets a little bit of the wall out of turn 2. Doesn't seem to slow him down much. Both drivers right up by the wall in turn 3. And there you see the leader getting out of shape now. And was it enough to give Aiden the opening? Not this time. Mike Cramner now about a second behind Gary Offit. Austin Ross up in fifth has pulled away. Jack Clevenger in fourth is 5.5 seconds behind Brandon, but he is closing the gap. Keith Jackson holds on to the lead for the moment, but for how much longer? Remember, they're likely going to need another pit stop to go the distance. And the pit strategy here could be the deciding factor. Once the leader comes in, nobody is going to want to stay out for very long. But if Aiden comes in a lap or two earlier, it may give him the advantage. Brandon Templeton in third, Clevenger in fourth. Was gaining, but Clevenger's coming to pit road. And Donovan Ross is going to bring it in fifth. Gary Offert looks like he is going to stay out. Mike Cramner also stays out. John Tobias back in 8th place. He is going to stay out for another lap as well. The leaders continue to stay out as Gary Offit and Mike Cramner both come to pit road. The top three still on track at the moment. Aiden Young is coming in. He gives up second. This could be the move that wins him the race. Keith Jackson is not going to stay out much longer, knowing that second place has come to get fresh tires. And it looks like Jackson may stay out. He does. He stays out another lap. Brandon Templeton in third. He now in second. He stays out. And Aiden Young on his way back off pit road. And here we go. The leader is on pit road. And it looks like Brandon Templeton is aiming for pit road as well. He overshoots. Manages to save it. Now the question is, can Aiden get back around and pass Keith Jackson while he is on pit road? Aiden on the back straightaway. Keith on his way out. It was fuel only for Keith. Aiden took 4 tires. 10 laps to go. Will this strategy pay off for Keith Jackson? Aiden Young now back in second. He has fresh tires and is 3 1/4 seconds back and closing rapidly. Keith took fuel only on his stop, did not take fresh tires, so Aiden is closing quick. Colin Johnston now in third, Jack Clevenger in fourth. Colin has not completed his final stop. Keith has a 2.5 second lead as he gets 8 to go. Aiden Young, though, on fresh tires, still closing. He is about 2 1/4 seconds back as he comes down the backstretch. Hey, good evening, Russell. Jack Clevenger in fourth is closing in on Colin Johnston. Colin continuing to stay out. Keith Jackson's lead continuing to shrink, now less than 2 seconds. Across the start-finish line, 6 to go. And somehow Jackson actually extended his lead. Aiden now 2.5 seconds back. Will he be able to hold him off? 5 to go. We saw in that second run, Keith was not pushing nearly as hard as he did on the first run. Did he conserve enough tires to hold him off? Aiden Young is losing ground. He's now 3.5 seconds back. 4 laps to go. Jack Clevenger has now moved up into third. Colin Johnston finally comes in. And it appears Keith Jackson outsmarted everybody. 3 laps to go with Kansas. Aiden Young now 4.5 seconds back and continuing to lose ground. Jack Clevenger in third, about 11 seconds back, but has 11 seconds on fourth place, Donovan Ross. And here he comes through 3 and 4. He's got a 5.5 second lead. Keith Jackson has outsmarted everybody. White flag flies one more time around. He has led the most laps by a mile here. And has had the fastest car all night. Made a fuel-only stop. And he's gonna pull it off coming out of turn 4. Keith Jackson will win at Kansas. Aiden Young holds on to finish in second. Jack Clevenger comes home in third. That was definitely an unexpected finish. Aiden Young looked like he was going to run him down and pull it off. But with 5 to go, he just started losing ground to the leader. And we definitely question the fuel-only stop for Keith Jackson. But he definitely made it work here tonight. And we will get a word with our top 3 here in just a moment. Hey, good evening, CJ. Thank you for the stars, buddy. Looks like second place is available. Let's see if we can get a word with Aiden Young. Jack, man, congratulations. That was one heck of a run to come home in third. Especially, it seemed like you didn't have the speed early on.
Brandon there because he was a lap down. I don't know if he fouled up in the pits or what happened there.
Well, it still managed to work in your favor, man. You came home in third place. It was one heck of a run tonight as well.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Congratulations to Aiden and Keith on their runs that they had as well. And, yeah, I just got to practice a little bit more.
Well, man, a great job tonight. Congratulations. Anybody you'd like to thank?
Just thank Devo and Keith and Gary for having being there to talk to and bounce things off with them, and you guys for the broadcast and coast to coast for the place to race.
Well, great job tonight, buddy. Congrats.
Thank you.
Aiden, it looked like you were going to run him down, but with 5 to go, you suddenly just lost all your momentum.
Yeah, driver error.
Did you hurt the car in some way? Is that why? Because, I mean, you were just charging forward and got within about 2 seconds, and then all of a sudden, it just went away.
Yeah, I slightly whacked the wall out of 2, and that's all she wrote.
Oh, man, it was still one heck of a fight, and you really had the speed to win tonight. It was a great run, man. Congratulations. Anybody you'd like to thank?
I just gotta thank all the sponsors on the car.
Well, man, great job. Congratulations, and a great second place finish, buddy.
Thank you.
And finally, our winner, Keith Jackson. And Keith, I really questioned the fuel-only final stop, but it worked.
I took right sides in fuel in that final stop.
Oh, it did not look like it based on our numbers that you took right sides, but man, that definitely worked in your favor. And man, you were still flying.
Yeah, it was. I think that was a fun race going green to checkered like that. Just everybody getting a rhythm and get to race, versus stop and starting.
I have to ask, it looked like on that first run, I mean, you checked out very, very early, ended up with about an almost 3-second lead there for a while, and then Aiden started reeling you in, getting close to pit stops. Did you use up the tires too much, and did that change your strategy after that?
Yeah, I went way too hard in that first run and just burnt all my stuff up, and then that second run I made sure to try to maintain, a little try to maintain a gap, but still, try to save as much as I could. That way, I didn't have nothing left by the end of that fuel run.
Well, you definitely worked it out perfectly there at the end. That was one heck of a run and one heck of a win tonight.
Yeah, appreciate it, buddy.
Anybody you'd like to thank tonight?
Guys at C2C, Jack, Devo, Gary, and Greg, and Andy Patton started running with us here on the asphalt stuff, and he's been a joy to have. He's a hoot. So yeah, you guys putting this thing on, and yeah, appreciate you. Hopefully, talk to you again next week.
All right, man. Congratulations.
All right, thanks, bud.
Well, there you heard it. Keith Jackson pulled it off at Kansas. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget, tomorrow night at 9 Eastern, more racing to come. Huge shout out to CJ Jeffries for the stars. Hope you guys had as much fun as we did. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Maybe even tomorrow afternoon. Hope everybody has a great night. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one, everybody.